Tonight, we have been talking about a lack of office supply, grade A office stock in the Business Breakfast studios for about a year and a half now. Office occupancy floating around the 93% mark, up to about 98% if you are looking at downtown Business Bay and the DIFC. But could some hope be on the horizon because off-plan office sales crossed the $1 billion mark last quarter for the first time? We're joined by Zacky Sajjad, who is Director of Business Development and Client Relations at Cavendish Maxwell. Zacky, it's nice to see you.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
We've got 5 minutes.
Okay.
Rapid fire. So, up nearly 250% year on year, off-plan sales in the last quarter. We've always been told it's not attractive for developers, or is not as attractive as building apartments. What's got them building more?
Well, I think the growth in population, obviously, other key macroeconomic factors, but that has obviously led to more people living here. More people living here require not just residences; they also require places to work. So that's one of the main factors. But also, if you look at what's been happening with the amount of FDI that's come to Dubai in particular, and the number of very well documented in terms of ultra high net worth, the family offices, etc. So all of this leads to one thing, and there's a serious lack of office supply at the moment in the market.
So who's buying? Is it investors or is it end users trying to control their own costs?
It's a mixture, to be perfectly honest. I mean, the way we see it is there are people now, when they're looking at the rental rates and what they're being asked to pay, being served eviction, looking for somewhere new, they end up deciding to buy instead. And whether that's even something that they buy which they know they may outgrow in the future, they think, well, at least it's an asset that the business is now holding.
What have we seen in office rent rises? Where are we at the moment?
So we're now approaching 180 dirhams a square metre on average across the market. So, but I mean, we've seen some significant increases, over 30% in those primary areas, DIFC, downtown. When you get to those kind of more secondary, tertiary areas, even they're seeing some healthy 15% on average growth. Your kind of older stock, your traditional areas of, say, Bar Dubai, Deira, they're a bit more measured at about 3-4% growth.
So when is this new stock going to come to market? What do the schedules look like? When are we actually going to see and feel a change?
So if we look at what was expected, it was about 224,000 square metres this year. We've had 80,000 square metres delivered of that 224. I think we'll probably see only about 40 to 50,000 square metres. This is obviously Q3 data, so when we get the Q4 data, so I think we're going to fall a bit below where we anticipated, which again, we've talked about this before in terms of construction timelines and delays, etc. There is over 1 million square metres in the pipeline, though, over the next 3 to 4 years. So there is a lot of office supply coming, and it'll be really interesting to see how that gets absorbed.
That is, I guess, the $1 million dirham question. Once it comes on, is it already all spoken for? Is some of it going to end up on the rental market if it has been bought by investors? Will we actually see rent relief?
I think, look, it's always a combination with these things. I think if you look at what's been happening, we were talking about some of the fascinating sort of geopolitics, the meetings that are going on today in terms of Russia and India. Both those nations have been very attracted to this market historically. So I think there's a mixture of owner-occupiers and people sort of buying this with a view to sort of saying, right, okay, this is something that we're gonna sort of put some disposal of funds into this asset class as opposed to just the residential.
Are you starting to see individual investors invest into office property rather than institutional? I mean, developers have been coming out with some interesting payment plans for offices and marketing them via email to individuals. I've had the emails. Yeah,
so it's very interesting. So about 18 months ago, I met a gentleman whose speciality was the office segment in Singapore, and he was relocating here, and he was a broker and an agent, and he was relocating here to focus on this asset class here 18 months, well, nearly 2 years ago now. So, I think there's a lot of interest from the FDI that's coming here into this segment. buoyed by everything else that's been going on in the market.
But I mean, in terms of just your average investor, instead of buying a studio apartment to rent out or turn into an Airbnb, thinking, actually, no, do you know what? I'll buy a small office.
Yeah, I think there is. I mean, if I look at some of the strata offices, take around the marina, for example, I know that there's a lot of individuals that are buying these offices. Some are looking to buy with a view to hold for a couple of years and then sell on for the gains that they're hoping to make. But yeah, it's definitely there in terms of those strata offices and these kind of individuals looking to buy those.
So if you were to put a pen in the map and name a quarter when it might start to feel different in terms of there being more stock around, what quarter is it?
Oh, I don't have the crystal ball, but what I will say is, obviously, with office supply, it's a bit more measured in terms of that supply coming online. I think we know that there's obviously 1 million square metres that's scheduled in the pipeline over the next 3 to 4 years, but I'm sure with quite a considerable amount of that, looking in certain primary areas, it will be a little bit measured in terms of that release. So I would say, Dubai is always very good at being quite dynamic and looking at what is happening, not just from a geopolitical point of view, but also from macroeconomic, and they'll take advantage of that.
Zacky Sajjad is Director of Business Development and Client Relations at Cavendish Maxwell. Off-plan sales for offices crossing the $1 billion mark for the first time last quarter. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. You're welcome. Thank you.